And now it's time for A Geek Speak with
GK Technologies,
Sarah and Jodi.
In the fields again, I just can't wait to get in the fields again. The life I love is spreading potash for my friends, and I can't wait to get in the fields again. No, I can't wait to get in the fields again.
Welcome back to A Geek Speak. This week we have an extremely special episode. We are actually at our summer retreat, which is our summer annual meetings for GK Technology, and we have the entire staff here. So we thought we would take a little bit of time and sit around, just like we do normally at our annual meetings, where we have a drink and we're just going to solve all of the world's problems.
In agriculture.
In agriculture, with the powers of precision agriculture.
That's right.
Yep.
Awesome. Who wants to start introducing themselves?
That's me, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Darin. I started the company in 2003 and slowly built software. It seems like it took forever, didn't it, dear? And then
You were pretty quick.
about 2006, Kelly came along and joined me and decided to take care of the sales because I really sucked at that. So, generally, if you're going to interact with me, it's because something's really gone wrong. The chains have flown off and somebody's given up and sent you my way. But so if it's ADMS or web service stuff, that's me. If it's SD drain and the chains have flown off, you probably talk to Travis. So other than that, we just gathered together this group and get together once a year to try and catch up. We bring all the families in too because we like to meet the kids and watch them grow up. Got to watch Clint and Sarah's kids grow up from really young to one's going to graduate this year.
So that splashing, that ambiance in the background, that's people having fun in the background.
We're swimming in a pool,
Yep.
playing beanbags.
It's our 18-year-old birthday boy, actually.
Well, Cheryl, you just got done talking. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Cheryl. I send you your bills. I started in 2008. I gotta get closer, apparently. Okay, I started in 2008 because Kelly and Darin wanted me to, I guess. And from there, I just
Don't kid yourself. Cheryl actually runs the company.
I've done a few things.
Were you bad on your knees? Just begging?
Yeah,
That was,
He did,
yeah,
yes.
it pretty much was.
Yeah, we were
It pretty
And I
we were
needed
very
money to pay
bad at
bills, too,
businessmen stuff.
She wanted us to actually make money.
Yeah.
Well, what a concept.
Kelly, who are you?
I'm just a friend of the family. I am Kelly Sharp, and one of the
I'm the founders.
co-founders of
Yep.
the company. Darin and I fired off in 2006, 2007 when we incorporated, and I was fortunate enough to be an agronomist for looking for a different way of life, and I talked to Darin and said, "Say, Darin, you looking for an employee?" And he goes, "Nope. I need somebody to help me out, get into the company." So I bought in, and
Yeah, it was more like I can't afford to pay you, but you can sure come on board.
I should go back and find that, see if I can find that email again, because it was not far off from that. And it's been doing it since then, and worked with Darin's stuff prior to that at Crystal. He wrote apps for doing field boundaries and stuff like that. So I mean, kind of come full circle back to where that started at with stuff, and now we're back to the field mapper app. You know, back to kind of coming full circle.
Back to
around
mobile
on
apps
certain
again.
things. Yeah, mobile apps again and stuff like that. But the devices are a little smarter and a little more horsepower than what we had back in the day. So
nothing new under the sun.
nothing new. So, and who are you?
I am Travis Yike. I am one of the developers. I was brought on, I guess, 10 years ago now, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, and so I do a lot of the SD drain stuff, and you will never talk to me because I don't have any personal skills. So.
Liar!
And where are you based, Travis?
I am out of Wyoming, so I get as far away from everybody else as I can. Keeps me secluded over my corner. Yeah.
And for context, in the room right now, there's 11 of us GK employees sitting around a table. So we'll continue to share and introduce ourselves until we get to all 11 of us.
But I think Clint was hired about 3 or 4 months before I was hired, and so we've been here close to the same time.
I think so, yeah. It was pretty close to that.
So who are you,
Sorry.
Clint?
Sorry. So I'm Clint Streeter, and I'm in Dickinson, North Dakota, where I'm based at, or live, I guess. Primarily do zone maps and some prescription writing and maintaining our online library for imagery and some of the other stuff. And that's pretty much it. If you need to get a hold of me, it's probably because you have a software question or want to have me make some zones or prescriptions for you, something along those lines. So that's primarily what I do. It's the most underpaid role in the company, by the way.
Just put that out on the air.
Thanks for throwing us under the bus there.
Well, since we're kind of going in order of oldest employee to newest employee, makes good sense here. So I'm Paul Fuller. I joined. Actually, I met these guys in about 2010 or 2011, and I was working for a Shortline Implement dealership and selling drainage equipment and software. And their drainage design software fit with everything I was doing. So I became a dealer for them at that dealership. And about 2010 or 2011, fall 2015, I came on board with them. So I'm 8.5 years, give or take. And so my official title is Sales and Drainage Consultant. I work with SD Drain. I've helped Travis along the way kind of with some beta testing and some ideas just from my background. And I do custom tile design. I do some variable rate stuff too. I'm not an agronomist. I will not give you recs, but I understand enough about it that I can help you make maps. I can help you do your recs, but you need to know the agronomy. Been a great 8.5 years with this company, and I think I've got about 15 to go before I'm gonna have to retire. Hopefully.
And more importantly, he may not make recs for you on the fertilizer side, but you will do drain tile
Yes.
Design.
design.
Drain tile, drainage consulting. If you have questions about drainage, I don't know everything, but I know a lot, and I'm still learning.
We're all learning.
You knew a lot more than me when I came in, so that's for sure.
Some of us aren't teachable.
I can't remember who the quote was from, but I think it was Thomas Edison. It was a day that you haven't learned something new is a day you've wasted. And I tried to make sure that every day I'm learning something new.
Good motto to go by.
And so what is it today? I'll put you on the spot.
We had a lot of good conversations downstairs about agronomy and
Yeah, we did.
I can't remember an exact item that I picked up new today. Maybe some confirmation of some biases I had and some slap downs of others.
Ernie, you're next in the.
All right, so I'm Ernie Johnson. I've been here just about 8 years with the company. I live down in a small little hole in the wall called Fulda, Minnesota. It's about as southwest as you can get in the state. I met Darin and Kelly because I happen to know one of their former employees' wife. She was a good friend of mine, and I was sick of selling seed. I was just about done with that. Well, I was done with that, and couldn't handle it anymore. So I talked to Travis, and he said, not this Travis, Travis Bremer, and he's like, who you ought to talk to is these two guys. They've got a great company. I think you'd like it. And called them up and talked to Kelly and met him and Darin. And it's been awesome. I do sales. I sell the software, and I also service. Call up. I'm going to be able to help you with most of your questions with the software. I also do mapping, and thanks to Kelly, I've really gotten into some of the drainage stuff, and that's been a learning experience. I do most of the drainage stuff for sales. It's been an awesome learning experience, and it's really helped me learn more about agronomy, doing the drainage side of things too, because if you understand how the water and stuff flows in the field and all the rest of it, it really helps you get a better understanding of why some of the areas in the field are the way they are. So it's been an amazing experience coming here and working. So.
And Ernie's going to be busy for the next month or two making drainage maps.
Yes.
At warp speed. So, who is next on the higher list
Was it
there?
Kendra?
That might be me.
Kendra would probably be the
yeah.
next one up.
Yeah, I'm Kendra Fuller. I'm Paul's wife, Clint's assistant, and truth be told, I think I listen to Clint a hell of a lot better than I listen. It's true. Too many cooks in the kitchen sometimes. But no, I take care of downloading all of the imagery, trying to keep that current, all of your county data, things along those lines. And, you know, Clint needs a hand with something that he's getting kind of snowed under with, and that's kind of it. I've been with the company about 3.5 years now. Son went off to college, and I needed something to do, and Kelly was looking, so.
Yeah, we were needing somebody to fill in, but she also downloads LiDAR too.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
so
Yes.
Pretty much
yes.
anything that we have for data, Kendra touches in some way, shape, or form between Kendra and Clint. So.
Yeah, primarily her these days.
Yeah.
But you're rarely going to hear from me unless you need something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
So.
She's the reason why we've got imagery that's like up to date in our
Exactly.
library. It's pretty amazing.
We went through, went from having it sporadically updated, occasionally once, twice a month, to like daily.
Yeah. It's 2 to 3 days behind actual flight time, this
Yep.
type of stuff.
Amazing.
So.
And I think you had a statistic that you shared with us yesterday about how much data we've got in each of the catalogs. Do you remember those
Oh.
numbers by any chance?
What was it you were
Number of
estimating?
images that we've done
Yeah.
this year.
This year, I think we've done 23,000 Sentinel images. Should have about 44,000 by the end of the season.
Wow.
In October. So, yeah, really growing. I think what was last year's total? 29,000 images that we did.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
So we're expanding our area, and yeah, just keep plugging away.
Have you,
Growing.
have you passed up Clint on the amount of data you've downloaded?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not at this point.
She's gaining.
We were doing it for a long time before
Gained
me.
pretty fast.
When you're doubling your amount per
Won't be
year,
long.
it
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, somebody down, you were looking for numbers, so at Sentinel, we're at about 110 terabytes right now of Sentinel data, about 32 terabytes of county data, and about 26 terabytes of LiDAR.
So all together in that server room, what do we actually have for how many bytes of data do we actually have?
So the whole data set's about 190 terabytes right now, but we, for safety's sake, have two systems online that have copies of that, and each of those systems is capable of holding about 450 terabytes. And then there's the emergency system that we turn on like once a month and back up data to, in case we, God forbid, ever got a malware attack or something. That those systems will be sitting there and not more than a month. So I calculated the other day that we do have enough drive space in the server room. We're over a petabyte of storage in the server room now. Which is
Petabyte
1,000
of
terabytes.
Wow.
storage. How many? Can you repeat that, Darin? How many terabytes that is?
1,000 terabytes is a petabyte. over a petabyte in the server room.
Wow. And it's really hot in there.
And you walk in there, and all you hear is like this hum. Cheryl, were you excited when that got out of your basement?
Yes. 2 years ago, we bought a building and actually moved all of the servers up. It's wonderful.
But during the winter, your heating bill now.
Oh yeah, heating bill. The basement's still cold now.
But you can hear yourself in the basement now.
So some strategic fans at the office. You don't need to turn the heat on.
No, you need to eat, but yeah, I mean, right now, yeah, we during the summer we have to leave the doors open on the server room and push fans through. Kind of sacrifice security. The whole server room is getting beyond locked doors except in the summer. Blow some hot air out of there. Even with the fans running, there's enough servers running in there that it's over 80 degrees most of the time.
It's a lot of data.
Yeah.
It's a lot of data.
Did you imagine like storing all that data when you first started, or that you were even going to be storing?
No, not even close. I mean, you know, I used to, we'd go to training and I would wear a USB key around my neck that had installs of ADMS stuff on it for training. And I tell a story that this is a 32 gigabyte USB key, and when I first started, we had to upgrade from Windows 98 to Windows 2000 so that we could have drives bigger than 2 gigabytes.
Yeah.
You'd have a hard drive that would hold 4 Landsat scenes.
Hard to get anywhere with it.
Things have come a ways. And now the Sentinel scenes are, each one of those is four times as big as a Landsat scene.
So to put it in perspective, when I was still at Crystal, Darin's previous company would deliver DVDs to us with a Landsat scene per
Oh my gosh.
CD.
What does a Sentinel image cover? Like what area? A single image.
It's a 10,000 meter by 10,000 meter tile, and it's on a grid, military grid reference system is what they call it. Oops.
I love the way the Sentinel. I love how they deliver it.
Yep.
But understanding it's hard to explain because it still deals with the Earth rotating underneath it. So, but how they deliver it. I'm going there, and I laugh because it's just.
So I mean, it's all delivered in a tile that covers the same 10,000 by 10,000 square meter area every time, and it's weird because every tile will come down. You can go into a particular tile, 14 TPT or something, and the tiles going all the way back for 5 years will all be exactly the same size because they're all cut to the same.
Yeah.
Versus Landsat, which is 120 miles by 120 miles, but they don't clip them down to the military grids, so you're getting a square that's kind of rotated sideways on the Earth.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing that the original Sentinel data is, but they put it to this military grid system. And so not every grid covers the whole area. So you can
that's an idea. Maybe we take our Landsat data and import it and flip it to MGRS like a Sentinel data, store it that way.
You'd use the same system to find them.
Yeah.
Field boundary.
I've been looking for different ideas on how to change up the Sentinel system.
Just add alcohol.
What's that?
We're up to Sarah.
Oh.
We got to finish with our employees before you can go on your tangent.
Sarah, go ahead. I think you're next.
Yeah, well, I guess the podcast already knows me. I'm Sarah. You have to listen to me every week. I'm an agronomist with GK Technology. I've been here for about 2.5 years. Hail from Hillsborough, North Dakota. I started using the software back in 2006. And there's a lot of really smart people sitting around this table tonight.
Me.
That's what I know. Don't give me that look, Kelly.
Are you serious?
No, I'm Sarah.
Oh. And that's the sass we love out of you.
Okay,
So,
Eric is
then the next one that we hired and came on board was?
That's me. My name's Eric Lee, and I am from the Bagley area in Minnesota, just a little bit west of Bemidji. And at GK, I help with systems, so I guess some of the server stuff and some of the odds and ends things with programming stuff also. And you're probably not going to talk to me ever. I don't know. Yeah.
If you're coming there, you've got something really fascinating.
Yeah. I can't identify most crops unless it's corn. So.
Which, that is just fine, Eric. That's awesome.
I'm proud that I can identify corn.
That's what GK hired me for. I'm Jodi Bow. I identify crops.
And birds.
And birds.
We
Not
all
a very.
have our skill sets.
we all have our skill sets. Yeah, I'm the low man on the totem pole, the last person to introduce myself, the most recent hire. And like
Best
you've
for
heard on
last.
the best for last. No.
There you go.
But I mean, you hear me on the podcast as well. I'm an agronomist. I do sales as well and marketing. So you might hear me if you call in and ask a question on the software, or if you're interested in the software, you might see me at a trade show. And of course, you'll hear me here on the podcast as well. But it's I'm so happy that we're doing this and getting you a chance to hear from people like Eric, like Travis, who you may not interact with when you call in and ask a question, because all 11 of us are what make the software run. And so all of us together, you wouldn't see the product that you see when you're running ADMS at home or SG Drain or any of the other products that we have. So it's great to have them a part of this table as well in this discussion.
App,
or the Field Mapper app.
Geek Speak.
Exactly. Yes. So that's the really cool thing is Darin mentioned before, getting started with this company from his garage to where we are now, we have a lot of really cool products that have come out, and we have a lot of really cool things that are on the burner and almost at your fingertips that we're discussing and talking about at this meeting here. So we're super excited to share more about those as we move along and release those to the public as well.
Jodi, you may have to be taken outside and put down because you can't talk about some of that yet. So. you tell them we may have to.
Let's remember this is July 16th. If you haven't heard from me after this date, please contact the Mendota Heights Police Department.
Don't worry, Jodi. I'll always come for you. I'll always come for you.
And by the way, we're a really hard group to get along with.
We don't laugh often.
No.
It's pretty solid.
Did you have a phone number for that police office? I did see him drive by earlier, so they were, sketching us out.
Kelly, be quiet. I don't want them to know where I'm at.
One thing that I am really curious about, this company's been around since 2006, and there's a lot of different people sitting around this table, a lot of really smart, talented people sitting right here, and we've had a chance to interact with a number of different customers, a chance to have our fingers in creating different products that customers use every day. So one of my big questions that I've got for everybody, what is your favorite thing about GK, or something that you might be the most proud of that GK has done, or one of kind of like your aha, like super cool moments working for this just something that's been really neat. What is that? I'm really curious about that.
So for me, it was, for the first year, Kelly and Darin really had me learning the software, and not doing a lot of sales, which, you don't know the software. It's not going to do you any good to go out and try and sell it. So after I learned it, one of my first customers I picked up was in south central Minnesota, was close to the borders. And he's one of my favorite success stories because he was taking over for his father. And his dad was working with a local co-op down there. And one of the things that they did was he was always on the build to the max platinum gold, put down as much fertilizer as you can, balls to the wall, just go. Well, his son took over and his dad was like, you know, you want to do this precision stuff, you go right ahead. He didn't believe in it, so, and he called me up and we talked and we're like, all right, these are the steps we're going to take. This is what we need to do. So we went out and we set up his zones, and his dad was like, we're not even going to grid. No, we're going to do zones. Well, what's a zone? And Andy just told him, you know, back off, Dad, this is what we're doing. So went out and we zone sampled, and we got the samples back, and I called up Kelly and I went, wow. And Kelly's like, wow. Yeah, it was unreal. It's like, those numbers go any higher, he's actually going the other way. He's going to be in trouble. Well, long story short, he was also, very much close.
Stuff that was scary. So.
Yeah. We also, so my first year went out and and I told you, Jodi, we were going to have nitrate sample, and the lab we used, well, I'm not going to names, didn't do it, came back. Kelly and I had a discussion with that lab. So the next year they did nitrate samples, and most of his samples came back at 120 pounds of N or higher.
Wow.
In the 0 to 24, or?
And his 0 to 6.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Holy Hannah.
So.
Yeah. So by the way, never pull a nitrate during a grid test because it's a waste of money.
Right.
It's a waste of money. People. Don't do it.
Exactly.
Because you'll never make money doing a grid sample nitrate. It's a waste of money.
You'll just feel like crap knowing how much nitrate was in that 0 to 6.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might learn something.
Right. Exactly. And Andy's
sarcasm intended, by the way, people, if you didn't pick up on it.
So his dad's yield goal across his farm was 210. Andy's yield goal has been 300. He wants to get up to 300, but he wants to do it economically. And it's been awesome watching him, because as we've gotten to the point where we're critiquing small changes now, and the starter that he's putting down, and the type of fertilizers he's using, because right now his average yield goal across his entire farm last year for his corn was 290 bushels per acre. So it's trying to get that last 10 economically without. Yeah, so it's just been awesome to watch him grow and just to see everything we've done for him. I mean, it's just been amazing, and it's just like, it's a perfect story for why this software works, for what we do, and the knowledge we've had, because I've been able to call up Sarah and ask questions. All right, this soil is like this, why? And it's just been, or call up Kelly and, all right, what do you recommend with this? And then get answers to questions. I mean, the knowledge in the room is just amazing, and it helps so much with the customers.
So to Ernie's point, exactly what I started on, Darin was handing off some of his customers, and Derek and the guys down central Minnesota area, not to throwing in people under the bus as far as who's involved there, but end result of it is you started working with them in 1998, 1999, and looking at their yield goals and stuff like that, shooting for 85 bushel bottom end yield goals and shooting for 150 on the top end, we're really going to knock it out of the park. And 2 years ago, our new bottom end yield goal was 150. That's their bottom end yield goal now. That used to be their top end yield goal on the whole, best spots in the whole farm. But the thing about successes on it wasn't just quote unquote, when you say the word precision ag, everybody says fertilizer, nutrient, seed, it's these things, these are the cores of precision ag. The core of precision ag is drainage. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, the majority of our country deals with either too much or too little water, killing our deficit to our crops. And what Darin brought to the table, and one of the first products he released back when he did the Ag Day Reviewer was drainage. And I got to pat him on the back, say that was the best, smartest thing to do. It was the heart and soul of it, because what brought those guys, this farm, from doing that wasn't, don't get me wrong, the fertility and the seed choices were absolutely huge in it also, but listening to them and watching what they're doing with all the the tile, the drain tile and stuff like that. It hasn't been just putting drain tile in a spot or draining a slough or doing this. It's been, oh, we spot tiled this, we got this, we got that, we got that. And I mean, it's just those little changes make a big difference.
You know, it's really funny when you bring up drainage like that, because I like to call surface drainage maps cocaine for farmers. They're really addicting. When people ask about them for the first time, I say, be careful, I'll give you one. And if you like it, you're going to pay for it. But you're going to want more. And they always do.
Yeah, well, it's a lot like driving your car down the road. You're watching your mile per gallon gauge going, wow, this is really good. Look at that, 42, 38. I drive a whole Honda CRV, so 42, 38. Holy cow, that's really good average. Then you hit a couple of hills or some high-speed traffic, and it doesn't take very long. You're down to 30 mile per gallon average. Well, same thing with a yield monitor. You're driving through the field watching 300 bushel, 320 bushel. And all of a sudden, you get a couple of 80 bushel spots, and that yield average drops really quick. You know, if you can fix up some of those, so you don't have those low yield drag spots, the field average goes up in a hurry.
Nothing hurts an average worse than a zero.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
So,
and like on that same subject too of successes, and like I think back to my first kind of exposure with GK technology as an employee of AgVise. With soil sampling, a huge part of soil sampling and soil testing is making sure you're accounting for that variability in fields and making sure that you are managing each part of the field in a way that's appropriate for the fertility in each area. And what I wanted to do to help with kind of communicate the value of zone sampling to our customers at AgVise was put some zone maps together. And so God bless Kelly, because he sat down on the phone with me and gave me a copy of ADMS and helped me put together zones. And even with my and just with satellite imagery, I was able to make zones for my own farm in Western North Dakota and then take those in the combine with me in the fall after soil sampling them and see that, oh my gosh, just with that satellite imagery and the zones that I had with ADMS, when the combine started to go really fast on the reel and not much through was coming through the combine, I could see immediately that was where the red zone of the field was, the poor producing area. Same thing with the green. When we had to slow down and back it off to like 1.5 miles per hour, that was a dark green zone. That was the good zone. And it was just really incredible to see the proof of concept. And I just sit back in amazement that we're able to do that for growers not only in North Dakota, but across the country. It's an extremely powerful tool to be able to do that.
I gotta say, one of the things that I'm extremely proud of being an employee of GK Technology is just the breadth and the depth of knowledge that we've got within our company. I mean, you have to think about this from this and I say this quite frequently, but it really is pretty cool. I mean, Darin Johnson really is a pioneer in precision agriculture. He's one of the very first people that was thinking about agriculture data in the way that, it operates within our software system today. And if you think about people trying to teach precision agriculture concepts, Kelly was really a pioneer in that front. I mean, in 2006, when I started using the software, I didn't know what a boundary was. I didn't know what a shapefile was. They didn't teach those things in school. The only place I learned that from was Kelly Sharp, going to GK training.
I learned it from Darin. The classes that were being presented by these other software companies were really painful. They weren't giving you any basis. They were saying, click here, peace out, see you later.
And you didn't understand
they weren't
why
giving you a basis of what
or
that
how
file
things
was
work.
and what it was. And I learned my majority of the stuff I know from Darin, but nobody was passing the why am I doing this? It's just do this. Click here, click here, click here. And those of you guys that have been to our training classes, Jodi and I were talking about that. There's so much to take in above and beyond click here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
With why are you clicking here and what is this file about? That Darin uses the loving term as a firefighter himself. It's like drinking from a fire hose when you haven't been around some of that technology and lingo. There's just a lot to take in.
And it was when I first took training class the first time, and this was when I was still a customer. I was working in egg retail, trying to do precision agriculture. I didn't think this was going to be that big of a deal to learn. I can clearly remember I signed up for all 3 classes. No big deal. I'm going to be doing, agronomy and prescriptions and drainage. We're just going to do it all. I'll take 3 days of classes. I'm not dumb. I can do this. So I went to the first day of class. I stayed caught up to the end of class. The next day, I went to the second day of class, and I got done with that day, and I had such a headache. Oh my gosh, I just hurt so bad. You probably didn't know this, but I took like 4 Advil on the way home, and I called you, and I did not go to the 3rd day of classes. I worked with it for, 6 weeks, and I retook class 1 and 2. That was when there was like 2 sessions of training in the wintertime. Yeah. And so then I retook classes 1 and 2, and then it started to click because the concepts that he had taught were starting to finally come through. But precision agriculture wasn't anything that was offered for a course. There might be like one tiny course at a university, but it wasn't like you could really learn what you were doing. So GK Technology was really the place where I had the opportunity to learn that. And I don't know, there's a lot of other companies that are coming on the market today that are trying to venture into precision agriculture, but they just don't have the breadth and the depth and the history and the knowledge that we do. It'd be interesting to know how many years of experience is actually sitting around this table. Anyway, I'm very proud that I work for a pioneering precision agriculture company.
When you talk about the first training class, so I went to my first training class in 2010 or 11. I don't remember for sure. I could probably look back because it'd be the first manual I have. And it was in Watertown, South Dakota at the event center. Yeah. And there was probably 20, 22, 25. It was a nice full room. And there was some experienced agronomists. There were some newbies. And after we got through downloading Landsat through Glovis, which we did that that was part of training class. And I didn't have a clue. I knew nothing about agronomy. I knew some drainage at that time. And about noon, I was about ready to say, I can't support this software. I don't have a clue. And we got to the drainage day by then. Of course, now I understood drainage, so that made more sense. But after going through creating zones and writing prescriptions was something I knew nothing about. And I'm glad I stuck with it because I'm really happy to be here today.
I'm glad you stuck with it too. So.
Yeah, in the training classes, really, when Kelly came on board, we started talking about how we were going to do this. And, I always thought we were going to do training classes and, they'd just be like free seminars. And he said, no, we can get people to pay to come to training. And I went, really? You think so? And that first winter, we filled classrooms in Fargo and Grand Forks and Watertown and Crookston, and all paid attendance, and it was, people were out there and wanting to learn to do the things we did, and I was very proud to see that happen, and the growers that stepped up to learn how to do things.
When did that happen after the first version of ADMS or what it was, Ag Data Viewer?
Ag Data Viewer. Oh boy, that had been the winter of 2000. You did it right off the bat. I think it was the winter of 2006 you started.
Fall of 2006, we did it right away.
Yep.
And I hadn't been using per se the software for more than probably 6-8 months at that point in time. So, so it was.
So there was good adoption.
Jodi, just to put things in perspective. Yeah, there was some. There was some Darin. That's in there, so. But it was kind of blindly going out and
we had a good following in the Crookston, Minnesota area. Yeah. Crookston was a hotbed of precision agriculture going back into the 90s.
Absolutely.
They're just a very progressive community up there.
And stuff were just, Jim and John Ross were just huge supporters of us.
Yep.
But supporters of the concept of precision agriculture.
I do think it's pretty cool that, as time would go on, one of Darin's original customers would end up being one of my customers when I was independent crop consulting, and he still had his data in there from when Darin was doing his original mapping. So some of those maps went back to like 1998. There's like yield data maps and we had yield data maps and Landsat data.
The yield data was never good enough to use for zones, but so was a lot of Landsat data zones or Landsat zones, and mostly B-top, I think.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, you think about what the technology was like back then to what we have today. It's
Oh
pretty
my
impressive what
goodness.
you could do and how good the zones were with the data that we had compared to what you think about what we have today.
But I make a point that I always like to make this point. I used to sit down and show people drainage maps and stuff at trade shows and stuff like that. But I actually really have stopped doing that. No offense to the people listening, but I've stopped doing that because I'm sorry, but it blows my mind that people don't realize that water goes downhill.
Or towards money.
Touche. But it just blows my mind. I pull up a LiDAR map and tell them that water flows that way, and they'd argue with me, and I'm like, I don't know. You got 5 feet of drop going from north to south. Well, all the water in my area flows to the north. Well, on this field it doesn't. And they just walk over there and they go home and they're like, oh, well, that was all I needed to know, and I just fixed my drainage problem that I've been trying to run water to the north for the last 50 years of my life, and it didn't work, and now I just fixed all their drainage problems because it actually runs itself.
Yep.
But I quit doing it because I can't tell you how many times that happened to me at trade shows that I'd ask them about a field or whatever, and I'd bring up a map and I'd show them something that would just blow their mind, and I'm like, this is basic.
Yep.
But if you don't know something and somebody tells you the answer, once you know it, you know it.
Correct.
And it's really, everybody in this room can appreciate what I'm saying from the standpoint of once you're told something and the world is round and you thought it was flat, and once you grasp that concept that the world is round, it's over. It's like, no, the world's round, okay. My thing is gone. But knowledge is power. And we don't realize it, what we have for knowledge sometimes. Darin, you spout off stuff that's just so way beyond people's grasps because they didn't know anything about that concept, and it's such basic things to you.
Yeah, I mean everybody looks at their fields and they go, well, I'm in the Red River Valley, so it goes north and east towards the river. So, except for a certain distance away from the Goose River, if you're on the north side, it runs south to get into the Goose River. And if you're on the other side of the river, it runs north to get into the Goose River.
And it might run west.
It might have to run west to get in.
So I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I'm going to.
Okay.
With much love. I do actually have to ask Cheryl, what is the thing that you are the most proud of with GK technology? Oh, come on in and tell us.
And we'll take an edit pause so that you can walk in.
You can walk in, and I really want to know.
Because you give me a hint, because I don't.
But you've seen so much.
You're the outsider looking in.
I'm the outsider looking.
Pun intended.
She was the outsider looking.
I know, exactly.
You were able to get the majority of us to turn in our billing within 2 months. Or even some
Except
even.
for one of the owners, but we won't say it.
So, but make the point, Darin and I were, when we were starting out for the first 2-3 years, we were 6 months, 8 months, 9 months out on billing stuff,
Yeah.
and Cheryl's going,
You wonder why you don't have any
I
money?
have to feed the children.
Yeah.
We have to pay the power bill, and me being the single guy, it's like, yeah, whatever. but no, all BS aside though, I was like, yeah, we need to get this done, but it was just a real fight, and not because Darin and I didn't want to do it, but we were just so busy trying to do
other things. Yep.
And those of you guys that run small businesses out there, you guys can appreciate that. The best thing I can ever tell anybody starting a new business is find a good bookkeeper or a good assistant to take care of the background stuff. And Cheryl was that person and is that person.
Yep.
So when she came on board, Cheryl, tell them about coming on board and the
Well, it was basically
disaster
we
it
needed
was.
money. Yeah.
the disaster it was.
And I hated my job. So.
The one before GK, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was working at the Valley Journal, putting the Valley Journal together, and I was getting $7 an hour and was not
gosh.
appreciated. And I'm done with this. So I came on board and got their books together, and we got paychecks. Kelly and Darin used to write each other's. They'd fill out a paycheck for each other and then sign. So Darin would sign Kelly's paycheck, and Darin would sign. Or, yeah,
vice versa.
it was because they couldn't sign their own paychecks. So yeah.
But you've seen a
Then-
lot of stuff with GK over. I mean, you've
Yeah.
seen the company grow from the ground up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen a lot of stuff. What do you think is what's the coolest thing that you think you've seen?
Oh, I have no idea. That's a hard one.
It is, isn't it?
It's a very hard one. Just the growth, I think. And this is not a normal company. I mean,
No, it's not.
Not just based on the employees, but I mean,
I meant based on the employees.
We're all abnormal.
You have to be a certain kind of special to be hired.
You know, you go to these big companies and they've got the HR departments, and well, we don't follow those rules really close because we know each other,
Yeah.
and we know what we're like, and that's
Cheryl, so prior to me joining the company, I mean, I just think about the days when Darin was trying to get through all of this. I mean, the days when you guys had your kids working on mapping and stuff.
yeah. We had kids doing soil sampling. We had our daughter cutting out maps.
Yep.
Yep. But we also had a couple wonderful farmers in the Halstead area that kept us going and paid us above and beyond what was really what we deserved or what Darin deserved. And he always wanted to pay that back. So that's why we don't let him sell anymore, because he would never bill anybody anything. He would just do it for free because we had a lot of help at the beginning. So he just wanted to pay it forward. And that's what he is. And then
That is.
then Kelly came along, and we actually started training people and going out and selling, and then all the money started coming
Trying
in.
to bill people.
Yeah.
Trying to build people.
No, I meant, yeah, going out and training people and,
Yes.
and getting more customers, and instead of just the farmers in the local Halstead area. And then it just kept growing.
And I think that's something that's really interesting because there's a bunch of people sitting around this table that have mapped in some really neat places. I think most of the audience that we usually interact with think of us just as being a company from North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, but that's not true. Okay, so where's everybody mapped in here? Where's everybody worked? Farthest away places.
My farthest away is Dalhart, Texas.
Delaware, Texas.
Dalhart, Texas.
Dalhart,
I
Texas.
had a couple of customers at Dalhart, Texas that I had gone down and helped do some
You didn't go down there?
really not weird things. It was actually pretty impressive things with converting John Deere air carts before they were capable of doing variable rate. And I rolled into Dalhart, Texas area and installed electric motors to control the gearboxes on a John Deere planter with a Raven 750. So we were doing variable rate, ammonia, and 2-cart John Deere stuff by running the gear ratios up and down on a John Deere with Raven controllers.
And how big were those ammonia tanks?
Yeah, that was amazing. You rolled up the field, and I thought, what's that ammonia plant doing out here? And it was like a 10,000 gallon tank on a fifth wheel behind a tractor with a toolbar behind that.
Holy cow.
And they would pull up with a semi and fill it.
I have a picture of that in my trade show.
Okay.
My trade show
That's the one.
slideshow. I have a picture of that.
That's
That's a
the
cool
one.
sheet.
Yep.
Yeah, wow. You guys see us, if you see our stuff at the trade shows and watch a slideshow, it's one of the,
Yep.
still one of the slides.
And
Just
I
'cause it's a
had
cool
done
picture.
ammonia application for years with 1-inch hoses coming between the tanks and the toolbar, and down there they had a 2-inch hose coming off and going from the tank going to the toolbar and to really big valves and really big flow meters, and you'd roll along and they were just knifing it, so they weren't using a lot of power. and running along with a 60-foot applicator at 8 miles an hour, putting on 200 pounds of N.
Wow.
Well, Clint, you've done some mapping in some different places around. Where have you done some?
Yeah. California did quite a bit. Arizona. I do quite a bit. Washington State I did, or still am doing a lot of mapping there. And variety of crops, I guess, too. Done like rice fields in California and orchards for almonds and walnuts and hops fields, vineyards, all kinds of different stuff.
Hops
all the
fields,
time.
cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
There's a little.
And it's all over the internet, right? You don't go down to California.
Right, yeah, it's sight unseen. I never end up actually getting to see the fields that I map, but we're able to do it well enough the way we do it and stuff, and
Happy customers.
yeah.
Travis's addition there of the elevation data and being able to 3D map and verify zones with 3D maps.
Yep, that's been a huge help.
That's amazing. Yep.
Probably the hardest were rice fields, and I don't think we ever really did get a good map of those, just because the timing had to be perfect with enough foliage above the water to even get reflectance from the plants and stuff. And I don't know, because stuff depends on water so much, it's like pivot irrigation too, or flood irrigation. They're harder fields to map, just because of the water. But yeah, I've done a variety of things, I guess.
Well, you've done some drain tile in some different places.
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, I've kind of go from sea to shining sea. I have an SD drain customer on the Columbia River in Washington that we found a bug in SD drain when we first set that up because his elevation where he set up was negative 3 feet. And 3 feet below sea level, Travis had said everything set up below sea level gets discarded. So we found a bug. Got it fixed right away. So from the Columbia River and the Pacific Ocean in Washington State, I have a vineyard in the. They're in Napa County, but they're not in the Napa Valley. They're the next valley east of that. And I do all their drainage design plans. I actually went out there and got them set up with SD Drain. And they showed me their tile plan, and I said, "Oh my gosh, who designed this?" And well, we had a civil engineer design it. So functionally, it was correct. It would work.
Water went downhill.
They were doing it the totally wrong way because they're trying to collect water. They're not trying to drain water. To collect water to pump back up into lagoons or reservoirs for irrigation in the summer. And that was in 2016 or 17. I was out there, and we still do 1 or 2 vineyards a year. And I've done stuff from Bottineau, North Dakota, which is about as close to Canada as you can get in the U.S. And I've done stuff in the Carolinas and as far south as Kansas. I haven't done anything real far south on the drainage deal, but Kansas is far south. So I've covered. I did add it up during my real interview. I think it was like 31 states or 28 states I've done drainage design projects in.
I would guess tile gets pretty thin in Oklahoma and Texas.
Not in Texas.
Really?
Coastlines.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So.
And I know we're talking about mapping, but I do want to include Kendra on this as well. What are the farthest reaches of what you pull in data for to include in our libraries?
And if it's easier, you can even say what states don't we have.
Yeah, that might be easier.
Yeah, I think we might be down to about 8 or 9 states now that we don't have county data for. Yeah, I mean, basically from about New York all the way over to the coast, we're doing imagery for all the time, up into Canada. We started going down into southern Texas this year. And
So we probably don't have Alaska. We don't have Hawaii.
Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, New Jersey. Yeah. So it's pretty small. We don't have Utah, Nevada.
Just did no LiDAR for Wyoming.
And so if you're in one of those places and you want to use our library or have maps made, let us know, and we can pull that into our library. So,
Yes,
really,
we can.
It's
Kendra's looking for something to do.
You betcha.
Was that a you betcha? And
You
we
know-
use the word oofda and text to who
Yeah,
and some other
sure,
terms
you
that people
betcha.
don't need to know.
So, this is Jodi. I'm the only person that can hear the sound effects of the board, but Travis made sure that the sensor went off, which all of you that are listening to the podcast can hear. But those Norwegian words, those are curse words. I'm surprised you found the right button for that. That was impressive.
What I watched.
What are the odds?
I do want to tell you guys, though, you're talking about things that you're proud of. And I was thinking about that, and honest to God, proudest moment was when Clint let me paste something to the server. Seriously. Yes, he trusts me enough to paste something to the server.
I knew how easy it was for me to even screw something
Yeah,
up.
I
It's
know,
like,
no, I
don't
got
wanna
it.
Put her through that.
I got it. But yeah, that was
Yeah,
like
you've done fine,
the
too.
first baby step. But
50 terabytes later of her pasting.
Yeah.
yeah.
There hasn't been much for mistakes.
But you know, it's been really cool because I grew up in the city. I have no agricultural background other than the backyard garden. I mean, that is it. And watching them throw hay bales on my grandpa's farm back in the day. A lot of stuff when I first learned it, I was taught the process and didn't yet have the understanding behind it. So, I mean, that's very important. I gotta know, why am I doing this? So it's been very interesting just to see how that's grown, how I've come to understand things that I knew nothing about. And I'll have conversations with Paul sometimes where, you know, I just, you know, pick up on little things that I wouldn't have had even a clue about. Kelly will get on the phone with me and it's like, oh, okay, that's why that works. I get that now, you know. So just all of the knowledge with you guys and the amount of like ADMS that I haven't even begun to touch. You know, yeah. But I think 6 months ago I told you I hadn't worked with polygons because I'm so stupid. Well, I've never worked with polygons. Oh my God. Anyway. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I got off the phone and went, oh my God, he's got to think I'm just, yeah.
By the way, at the last team meeting, Kendra was talking about how didn't you like write some of your own computer code recently?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of Python, that's it.
Just
You
a little
know.
bit of Python.
No, because I do not code, but
But you
I
are.
do not.
I don't code, but I am.
You know, I like to figure things out, and I don't know, sometimes you can spend hours looking at something and it's like, why am I doing this? But there's that reward at
There's
the
gotta
end,
be
I
a better
guess.
way,
You know, so, yeah. Anyhow,
I
yeah,
just
so I've
looked
learned
for
a lot.
Kendra, and there's 40 states of county data on the
Okay,
server.
okay.
That's wow.
So we're missing.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, probably won't do a lot in Hawaii and Alaska ever. So we're missing out.
but I believe we have a little bit of data on there for Puerto Rico.
Oh,
I think there's a little bit on for Puerto Rico and then Canada.
Yeah,
Our
Canada.
Canadian
I
constituents,
left
we gotta-
Canada off. And
Yeah, no.
Yep.
And usually the way we add to that library is by demand. So once there's a customer in a place, we start working with them and that library gets created. So this is a library that's been created based on demand.
On demand.
Yeah.
And more so for you guys that are listening to be aware too. We're talking about North America stuff. There's nothing stopping us from we have users in Australia, we have users in South Africa. There's nothing stopping us from adding more stuff to the library if we get the interest and the demand from those areas. So just like
Sentinel covers the world.
it does that, and so does Landsat. So.
We see you listeners outside of Canada and the United States on our Buzzsprout or our little podcast information website. So we do know that there are some listeners that at least have IP addresses outside of the U.S. and Canada. So if you want something mapped, let us know.
Right.
So I do want to ask Travis. You've been here for 10 years?
Yep.
Okay.
That was it.
So what is your most proud thing of working here at GK, or what's your most proud thing about this company, or the most rewarding thing that's happened, or something along those lines?
Yeah, that's a good question. I did, when I first started, I reluctantly started with GK Technology because it was not in the area that I wanted to see my future grow. I wanted to be in research and stuff like that because that's what interests me. I don't get me wrong, I love to be here now, but one of the things I was so frustrated with research about was there's so much research that does not get out into the real world and it's not applied. And GK here, we actually do apply it, and we take what we learn and we help people out, and that's some of the things I missed in what I was doing, and that we do have here. So yeah.
So one of the stories that I have that goes with Travis. So when he first started, we had him helping out with some ADMS stuff, and one of the first projects we put SD drain in front of him, and we laid out this concept of a ditch cleaning, ditch maintenance, whatever product that you're going to survey and cut a ditch and whatever. And one of the comments that stuck with me about what Travis said is and he probably doesn't remember saying this, but we got done and laid all this stuff out, and he goes, so what am I going to do after this? I'm like, so when this gets built, there's going to be maintenance and stuff, and we're going to have to do more stuff to it. And here we are, 9 years after that was built, and we're still building on it. Yeah. And but the point to be made with software, with what Darin built, with what Travis has built, with what Eric and everybody on the programming side brings to the table here. When you build a piece of programming, the technology world moves so freaking fast that you're not just trying to keep up with the code that you wrote, but you're trying to keep that code. I mean, you started out on Windows 95, 98? 95. But I mean, trying to even just take a piece of code to keep it up to date, to get it up to 95 to 98 to XP to Windows 7 to Windows 8 to Windows 10 to Windows 11. I mean, just my point for people is, yeah, what am I going to do after that? I'm like, I didn't laugh. I just kind of went in my back of my mind. Went, OMG, you got a lot to do after that. I believe I came up with a fairly proper answer. I said, there's more projects coming, so don't worry.
Sorry,
we'll have some work for you.
This is never going to be done.
So Travis, have you ever been bored?
No.
Well, one of the things I want to throw out to everybody, I mean, within the group, I feel like, have we ever said, no, don't think outside the box? I mean, it's always, I feel like we've always encouraged you guys to keep on finding a new way to do something.
And a lot of our best ideas, at least from when I started, came from our growers.
Yeah.
I mean, the growers requesting things.
And crop
all of a sudden,
consultants.
crop consultants, it just, what could you make it do this?
Why wouldn't we do that?
Why would you do that? And then explain it, and you go, yeah, I think we could do that.
I learned from my drainage customers.
Yep.
I mean, and this is people who I'm doing the mapping for, the drainage design for.
Yep.
And they say, well, I want you to do this for this reason. And it's like, that makes sense. They don't want to lay out their own tile plans, but they have a few things that they want to accomplish by it, and they know how they want to do it.
Yep.
One of the coolest things that I saw in the software, and this happened just this last year, so frequently we kind of have two divisions of customers, right? Drainage and agronomy. And it tends to, there's a few customers out there that'll do all of it, but for the most part, we kind of end up having that split, right? And so I had this one agronomist. He wanted to make zones based on flow accumulation lines. He had an idea for a residual herbicide. He was getting way more activity out of this residual herbicide in one part of the field. I can't remember. It must have been on the hilltops or something. Anyway, he wanted to know where the flow accumulations went. And from that, he was going to make these zones. So we actually went in and we did watershed modeling from the flow accumulation lines. We buffered out that. Then we went back over and we made zones, 2 zones from those flow accumulation buffered out lines. And then we applied residual herbicides based on that. And it worked. And they did it for like 1,000 acres of lentils. And now he's got like farmers that are trading off sprayers to get sprayers with pulsating nozzles so that they can do more next year. It's amazing, but it's kind of a merging of 2 different pieces, two very
pieces. But more importantly now, you're probably putting less in that watershed flow area where you're going to potentially get more runoff and stuff too. So I mean, all the environmental benefits and
way better.
Yeah,
the weed control is better. The environmental benefits are better.
The crop injuries minimized. It was a lentil situation. It was for lentils, I think, and so lentils are just really sensitive to those herbicides. So but it was neat when you could see. He called up with this idea and he was trying to think about how to do it. And I said, well, let's just do a watershed model. I don't think he'd ever played with the watershed model before, because he's just an agronomist and he hadn't thought a lot about.
Well, but how many times have we heard this story in our region? So Red River Valley people, everybody gets the concept that drainage is a big deal. Where you get into the river plain areas where that's a big deal. But I'm out in the Rolly Hills, Pothole Prairie area. Drainage, it doesn't matter out here. The water just comes here and that sits. But how many times have we heard that? It just doesn't matter out here. We don't need high precision RTK stuff out here because we got all this roll and fall and we know where water goes. But you get into those scenarios. There's so many times.
This was out in southwest North Dakota.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
In central North Dakota, you have people getting stuck on side hill seeps, and you can stick some tile in perpendicular to the hill and intercept that water flow and pull it off and.
Don't get stuck anymore.
Yep.
Amazing. Miracles of heaven.
Miracles of heaven. And we get better crops. And Clint, tell us a little bit about your. I'm with the change from GK. So part that everybody online needs to know, or everybody listening needs to know, is that Clint came to us from, where were you working previous to GK? Previous to Ag Geo.
Yeah. Well, I was working at UND, University of North Dakota, as a pilot flying aerial imagery for
and then you came on and went from that, and we worked with you as an employee as Ag Geo. So actually, you worked 3 years prior to your hire date with GK.
Yeah,
you were working for us or working with us for 3 or 4 years prior to that. So.
Yeah, and the neatest thing, I guess, with that transition was, as I was flying imagery, I was always trying to figure out or learn how the images were used. And I had customers that had me fly their fields, farmers in the area and stuff, and I'd get them nice pictures and they'd say they were great and they could do all this stuff with them, but I never knew the software they used or how they did it. And I sort of knew you and Darin and the software that you had with ADMS. But then getting hired here and then actually being able to bridge that gap of seeing, okay, this is what we're doing with the images and analyzing it and combining them or whatever we're doing to make the zones, and now that's the basis you're making decisions for the field and things like that. So I finally was able to go full circle from the images that I was creating to how they could be used.
I've always thought Clint's background for kind of how he got into what he's doing and what he's bringing for us. I've always thought it was a really interesting story, just to kind of the background and some of our overlaps with the university and stuff with and stuff like that. There's just some background crossing paths and stuff that it was just fun to see how it all came together and how, like you say, the full circle.
Well, and
I thought it was just so interesting.
I think to an extent I was a little bit of an experiment for you guys too, because I didn't have a lot of the ag background to see if can somebody that sort of understands it's willing to learn and stuff and be able to pick it up and run with it. And I guess I was able to, or have been so far.
Clint hit a really key item there for everybody. Everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, but willing to learn. You know, at the point that you're not willing to learn anymore, don't come to my training classes. Yes. If you aren't willing to learn, just stay home.
And like Darin said earlier, right? Like, if his Thomas Edison quote about if you haven't learned during your day, it's a day wasted. Coming at the end of this too, I want to ask one more question, and specifically to Eric. What's been, as a relatively new hire here at GK, what has been like the most surprising thing to you, either about GK or just about like agriculture in this area?
Or what's your greatest adventure?
Yes. With GK on this part. Oh, I like this. You can't see this, podcast listeners, but Eric's face just lit up. So I will let him take it from here.
Yeah.
I actually need you to repeat the question.
What has been your favorite GK adventure thus far working with GK?
An aha moment for you.
Or aha moment, or most surprising part of what you do at GK?
I think it was when I did the training class, the only time I've done the training class, and Kelly was saying all of these terms that I did not know, but I was able to follow and click along most of the way. Sarah would show me some things, and I'd get caught back up, and then at the end, I saw this map of, hey, this is where all the water's going. And I thought, wow, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't even know. Yeah, I guess I just didn't know that you could do that with a map, or that was an important thing within a field. I guess I kind of thought there were like leprechauns that carried all the water to the edge. Yeah, I guess just realizing, applying for the job, I didn't know a whole lot about precision ag, but learning about it, it's like, holy cow, this is like, I don't know, how you actually make a difference in the world, and how you can be a positive influence on, countless people. And I just thought that seems like the kind of place that I'd like to work at, and develop skills and work with people who are on that same kind of mission.
So a big part of what...
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah,
that really was. I want to change my answer.
That's kind of profound.
I know.
I when Eric came on, and some of the shifts in what he's done and where he's gone with different roles in what he's working on and stuff was, I mean, moving into the stuff, he gets into such in the technical world that Darin and Travis and Eric work in, the new thing with like the sonic wall stuff and things like that, setting some of the protective things of the company up, things that are keeping things from happening, but I just, it always blows my mind with all the data that we have floating around, people trying to figure out how to make all this stuff go back and forth. It honestly just blows my mind. Mm-hmm. Again, like Darin said earlier, did we ever really expect that we'd be carrying around a petabyte of storage in a facility? No, not a chance. It just wasn't even in the realm of things. But Eric, to the point of what you setting some of that stuff up for the protection of it was just it's interesting. Like trying to figure out how to run some of that stuff is just it's just not what any of us do. So it's just a totally different piece you bring to the puzzle. So.
Well, I think we're getting to the end of our more than hour-long conversation, our GK Fireside chat. But it's been a great reminder of, just this whole conversation in general has been a great reminder of, with the maps that we make, with the software that we sell here, we're able to take these agronomic concepts, these ideas, these engineering ideas and concepts of drainage, and actually make them work and apply in the field and make a difference in people's lives. I'm so glad that Eric mentioned that. But it's really exciting to work for such an impactful company. And thank you everyone for being here and sitting down with Sarah and I to make this podcast. So,
At GK Technology,
we have a map
And an app for that.
I still did it wrong.
No, I can't wait to get in the fields again.
Let the geeks at GK Technology help you with your agricultural data. Their agronomists know agriculture. When it comes to creating soils and zone maps to maximize yields in your fields, you can trust the people with decades of experience in site-specific agriculture. Everyone at GK Technology has a background in agriculture, so they know what makes a farm run, and they speak your language. The geeks at GK Technology have a map and an app for that.